Hello, everyone, and welcome to Music Career Radio here on ydiymusic.com. I'm your host, Noam Nani Vazana, and today my guest is Balázs Weyer from Budapest, one of my favorite cities, actually. He is a director of programming at the Hungarian production company Hangveto, that produces music events on an international level in the CEE area. He's responsible for Budapest Ritmo, Pont, and most festivals. And this year, he's also hosting Womex in Budapest, as well as being a Womex samurai. I dare you to Google it. So, hello, Balázs. How are you doing? And welcome.
Hi, Nani. And you just reminded me that I forgot to send you the sound clip about how to pronounce my name, but you did it all right. Anyway, which is very rare.
Was that okay?
Yeah,
all
totally.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, I was kind of expecting a backlash on this one, but awesome that I nailed it. Please, could you please describe in your own words what is it that you do? Because a lot of people don't know. Because in my video cast, I have a lot of independent musicians that don't necessarily know a lot about the world music market. So they do a lot of indie and rock and pop music. So maybe you can tell a little bit about Womex and Budapest Ritmo, etc. All your work with Hangveto, and how does your work relate to independent musicians?
Yeah, it's kind of complicated. I mean, it would be more simple if I was just doing one thing and it sounded all right. I just have one title and that's it. But it's not the case.
Yes.
We are doing a lot of different things. World music festivals being one of those. Also working with Womex, which is kind of the same area and same genre. Basically, whatever we do is connected by world and folk music. We did our first Womex in 2015 as a local organizing partner, production partner of Piranha, who is the owner of Womex. And this year we are doing another one at the same time as usual at the end of October. But besides that, we've got our own festivals, Budapest Ritmo, that's been going on for a few years now, and that's every year early October. It's also kind of big festival with a showcase and conference element that happens in Budapest. We prefer to call it a discovery festival. Discovery and encounters. These are the two keywords because we try to bring artists to Budapest who've never played here before, who are not very known by the audience here, but we promise that everybody will find some memorable experiences if they trust us and come to our festival, despite the fact that they don't know most of the artists in the lineup. We also organize a showcase, a Central European showcase on the first day of Budapest Ritmo, and there's a conference usually with regional professional speakers, guests, daytime during the festival. Pont Festival is more traditional music related, and it's not just music. It's more a traditional culture festival that includes music, but also dance workshops, gastronomy, handicraft, film screenings, kids programs. Every year it focuses on a different region of the world. This year we had to postpone it. It was meant to be about the Caucasian region, Georgia and Armenia being in the focus mainly. Last year it was about the Balkans. The year before it was about Central Asia. So it's no, about the Mediterranean, before that Central Asia. So it's we pick a region every year and organize it around that area. And after all those, we've got a lot of education programs, mainly for music professionals or people, scholars, managers, journalists who want to dig a bit deeper in culture, heritage, and music, in society and music. Some of those programs we do as a part of an EU program like Music Moves Europe or Creative Europe or Erasmus Plus. Some of those programs we do together with the Central European University, where every year we organize a summer school on how to market. Not for musicians, more for researchers and producers and managers. It's mainly about how to produce traditional culture products, how to market that traditional culture in a conscious and kind of fair trade way. And it's, of course, it's a more academic approach, but also practical. More practical than usually an academic program is, but more academic than usually our other training programs are. And besides those, we are also a label, mainly with Hungarian folk music artists, folk and world music artists. We produce documentaries, documentary videos about music-related ones, of course. We organize some conferences, some smaller scale events, and we have kind of a development pillar. We work together with a lot of cities or cultural development agencies, where we help to develop strategies, music strategies, cultural strategies, events. Inside, for example, European Capital of Culture frameworks. So we work with cities who are running for that title or already hold that title, or UNESCO creative cities, or just cities without any title, but who want to do it better.
That want to get a title.
Yeah. Yes. So it's a lot, and I haven't even listed all of them, but I'm pretty sure it's becoming boring. So I won't do a full. I won't do a full tour.
It's amazing that you do so many things. A lot of the things you just described, I didn't even know that you were doing, and it always seems to me that you are such a well-composed person, so you're super relaxed and grounded and down to earth, but at the same time, you have an amazing energy. So a lot of musicians that I mentor have a sort of a struggle between how to keep cool and still have a lot of energy to do the tasks that are at hand. Do you have any advice for musicians who are struggling with that aspect?
I haven't given it a thought, honestly, until 1 second ago when you mentioned. But
maybe that's why you're natural.
But it really struck a chord. I mean, it's yes, I think it's one of the biggest challenges that I'm dealing with on a daily basis.
I guess with production, you do have to be very well composed because there's so many unexpected things in the way.
Yes, but actually, I've got some amazing colleagues. So probably one of the secrets is that we are around 15 people in this company, or in this venture, And well, one of the main things is that we really have experienced how to share the workload, and we love to be together. We love each other.
Mm.
So most of the time it's fun, even when it's not.
That's amazing. I can't say that all the crews that I've worked with felt as a family. So it really
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like you are very close with your colleagues. That's a very good selection process, I think. It's the same now. I choose the people that I can trust and I enjoy spending time with, especially because, when you're on tour, you are spending a lot of time in crammed conditions, like in small cars, being stranded at airports, and a lot of
yeah,
things can happen on the way. So, and you don't really want to see yourself in any of these situations with someone who is not a friend.
yeah, totally. I mean, even if we are not touring so much together, but yeah, it's production can also look like. I mean, event production can also look like sometimes a hippie commune or a Wohngemeinschaft, as they say it in German.
Yes, a commune.
Yeah.
I was wondering, for the sake of musicians that are starting out or never have been in a trade fair before, why do you think it's important for musicians to visit trade fairs personally?
Well, mainly because um, building a personal brand, which I think is very important for independent musicians, not just to the audience but also to the market. It only goes on a personal level, or at least it goes much better on a personal level. So you need to be there and build chemistry, build friendships, build acquaintances. So that's the main thing about trade fairs. But also you'll get a lot of much deeper feedback than I mean just through the official channels. So to say, you'll see how others work, you see how others communicate, you see how others react to to music on site when they see it and when they're honest and when it's kind of an impromptu reaction, and it counts much more than what you can see on digital platforms or what you'll get in an email.
If your email will be replied to, even.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I find that
Maybe that's the best answer. If you go to a trade fair, you'll have a much bigger chance to get a reply uh,
Mhm.
to your emails later, because
Exactly.
people will already know who it comes from.
Yeah, generally in the music industry, I don't really believe on with the attitude that is acting on contacts. Like a lot of people, I would often get an email from a musician asking me to send them my contact list. So then in
Hmm.
reply, what do you reply to that? Like, why would I send you my contact list? Not, of course, it's about privacy. So you don't send someone's contact without consulting them. But also, these people don't know you. So how are they going to help you? If you're going to send
Yeah,
them a message saying, dear sir or madam, or just using their name without meeting them anywhere, where is that going to lead you? I'm not so sure about that.
yeah.
So yeah,
Your contact list has no value without you in it. So
exactly. So
that's
you are
true.
basically the pivot or of your contact list in a way.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Mm.
absolutely true. But also, I mean, and it's not just me. It's everybody in the industry who's getting way more messages that you can manage.
Mm.
So you need to select the ones that you want to go with. That's uh, that's very frustrating on the one hand, actually, because of course I'm someone who would prefer to answer everybody, but that's just not doable. I always feel guilty for not being there and replying instantly all the time. But yeah, I'm kind of grew cynical about it because that's the only way you can handle it. That yeah, I had to accept that I just can't read and answer every message that I'm getting on every platform, especially in these
Yeah, I think.
past few quarantine months. A lot of new platforms came into the picture.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I have to be very selective to keep sane.
Yeah, it's true. There's only a certain amount of hours that you can dedicate to answering your emails. And I think one of the most common things I hear from musicians that I mentor, or the musicians that are taking my course, is, well, first of all, why don't everybody come get back to me, to my emails? Um, and then, of course, they don't really realize um, how to address their peers and how to be a part of their world. So somehow there's this feeling in the music world that people need to get discovered. And
Yeah,
instead of doing a lot of work yourself, doing the footwork, people still wait for other people to do the work for them. And yeah, for me, it's a very common mistake when I see that.
yeah. Actually, also why I love trade fairs, I love to go to trade fairs, is that there I can spend time with colleagues and artists, and I can have
Mhm.
some, deeper conversations. It's
Yeah,
not, it's also important for me, not just for the artists, to know each other, to know who is
yeah,
at the other end of an email when I'm getting one. And also, it's as a festival organizer, it's very rare that I have the trust to invite someone without ever seeing them live,
yeah. I can imagine.
because only that's how I know what I'm getting, what I'm providing the audience.
Yeah.
Because it's also we are also putting our names on the line, not just the artists. We can't we can't hide behind the artists if the concert is not good enough or it's not right.
Yeah, of course, the
So
relationship is first and foremost with the audience.
yeah, I mean, like you, like the artists,
Sure.
yours. So
But for you, there is another aspect because you're doing a little bit of audience. Well, I wouldn't call it management, maybe a little bit education. So there's a little bit of a process of being an educator while being a programmer.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but all at a trade fair, I usually that's the only place when I'm cutting off all the gadgets and digital stuff because I want to be there and I want to swim with the flow to have the experience to really have
Mm.
to really be present and spend time with others there. So and I see that a lot of other people do that too. So that is really the place uh, to be with others and to um, experience music.
Maybe that's why you're so cool and collected.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, no, it's not about coolness. It's we who I mean who are I don't like this word professional, but that's what we use usually for people in the industry who are not musicians.
Mhm.
So we are also fans when we go to a concert or to a trade fair. So
Yeah.
yeah, when I'm at a trade fair, I'm a fan. I want to be there and listen to the music.
So you're not cynical. That's also good. Because,
No, I mean it's
in my experience, sorry, you were saying.
no, totally not. So I'm still I still can totally be blown away by new music that I'm hearing or old. So it's of course I'm a fan too.
It's super important to know because, a lot of people in the business have lost that sensitivity. And it seems to me that there's a lot of cynicism in the music industry, and people don't think so much about what is emotional or what represents a message, and it's more about what makes money sometimes. And it's very nice to see in firsthand that there are still people that are interested in the essence of the music and not only, you know, the bucks. Yeah, the earnings. Um, what would you recommend for beginning musicians, let's say visiting a trade fair for the first time, to do before they go to the trade fair? How can they prepare their visit?
Well, usually there are two strategies. One is that you just go there and go with the flow. You just at the first time, you just try to meet as many people spontaneously as you can, because then you'll have a feel about how that events work, and then your second visit to the same trade fair, uh, you'll be you'll be already prepared. But my advice usually is to make your homework first, and at least try to find out what your goal is with going to the trade fair, and
Mm.
and pick the right people, at least a few of the right people beforehand that serve your goal the best, and try to meet them, focus on them. Um, so if you have an idea about what are the kind of the events, which is the actual region, what's the actual kind of activity, who is your role model artist, whatever. If you can answer those kind of questions, uh, you'll you'll be more precise uh, and more successful with who you really need to meet at a trade fair.
Mhm.
Who are the kind of people that can add to your career? Um, but I also always say that don't overdo it, because you'll need to enjoy it.
Yeah,
If you're not enjoying it, it's not really useful. I mean, you need to. I don't want to sound an asshole here, but
try.
you, yeah, it's difficult. Uh, uh, so if people see that you're enjoying yourself, it really adds to your profile. But it sounds like you would need to enjoy yourself because it serves your goals, and it's not the case. You need to enjoy yourself because you need
Yeah,
to enjoy yourselves anyway, anytime if you can.
yeah,
Uh, but
I agree.
yeah, become a part of the troop, become a part of the family. All trade fairs, all subgenres, all market niches work like a family. People know each other,
Mhm.
people care for each other, and even if it's an industry, I have worked in other industries before, and actually, this is the one where people um, really like each other, and kind of the business strategies are more cooperative than competitive, which is not true for other industries usually.
Mm.
So that's
Do you
that's one
see
of
that
the good
mainly,
things.
or do you see it in all music branches? Because I see a big difference, for instance, between the jazz market and the world music market, because I work in both.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Occasionally, I went to jazz trade fairs and jazz events, but I don't think I'm in a position to judge. There's a sizable overlap actually between jazz and world music markets in the audience. So for me, it didn't seem so different. But we don't really do jazz events or jazz festivals. But I love jazz personally, so I'm more a consumer in that field than a producer.
So a double fan.
Yeah, I mean, even more, not just double. Of course, I'm listening to a lot of I'm listening to various kinds of music, and there is one area of my activities which I haven't listed among the many ones, where I'm covering also other genres, which is I'm producing movie and TV soundtracks, where you can't be you can't be picky. You can't be picky with genres. In a movie soundtrack, you have to use all kinds of music, from metal to drum and bass to whatever. So I mean, whatever the movie requires or the actual scene requires. So yeah, I have to follow other developments in other genres too, but but I'm not going to other trade fairs except world folk and jazz, classical sometimes.
Okay, so you go to classical next and that kind of events.
Yeah,
I haven't been there yet. I should go. Every time I have a tour at the same time, so I could never go until now. But we will see.
Yeah.
In the future.
But it's been close to you in the past years. Quite close. Yeah. You're in Amsterdam, right?
Yes. So it's only 35 minutes by train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It will happen. Maybe this year. Maybe next year. When a musician comes to a trade fair, they take a lot of things with them. When I started out, what was it? I think maybe 9 years ago when I went to the first trade fair. I remember I took a box with 25 CDs, and I had business cards back then. And I also had these postcards, like this A6, size postcards, and we're giving them to people. Well, luckily, I had a showcase in the first trade fair, so I was performing at the Jazz Ahead Club night, so I at least had something to promote with the postcard. But I've seen a lot of people giving big laminated press kits, A4 size, etc., and double CDs, all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the trade fair, if you stay until the last day, you see that the bins are full with CDs and they're full with postcards and whatever materials the musicians give the programmers. And it's the same in the hotel. So you can see in the lobby when you check out on the last day, there's like these huge piles of left materials.
And you haven't seen the rooms.
Yes.
I mean, really, before I leave, I usually have to leave a lot of papers, piles of papers in the rooms. But I always take the business cards and the CDs. I still take the CDs with me.
So you're one of the only people that still take CDs.
I'm not sure. CDs or any kind of material that contains music. It's kind of sacred for us. You would never put anything in the trash bin that there is music on, regardless of.
That's for you.
Yeah.
I can't say that about your colleagues.
You sure?
Yeah. Oh yes, I've seen some things. But hey, what would you recommend musicians to take? So you would say CDs and business cards in that case, I imagine.
Yeah, I think CDs still work in a way that it's a bigger business card uh, and a more memorable business card. And
That's good.
yes, I mean, it can replace also the business card. Business cards are easier to lose. Uh,
Yeah.
Make sure to have your contacts info on the CD as well, and then.
Oh God, this is lesson number one. You know how many posters for showcases I have seen
Yeah.
at Womex and at other trade fairs with a
Hmm.
band photo, the name of the stage and the hour without the band name. You
Really?
know, like how is that possible? Yeah, people know about us. It's in the program. It's fine. It's like, are you serious?
It's like a secret love message. Be at this place at this time, and you'll find out who is waiting for you.
My secret Valentine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same with business cards and posters. I see many times that there's like a name, but no email address. Or it's like, well, so what is the point of the business card? That people will Google you afterwards, maybe. But I don't think it's going to happen. This is $1 million question. What is
Wow.
the criteria for selection of the Womex jury, or as we call you, the seven samurai? And how is the voting selection process done?
Well, I think the good thing is that there is no criteria, and also what I like about the Womex selection process is that actually, unlike most of the events, or maybe any other event that I know, that the jury changes from year to year. Um, and that prevents Womex developing a predictable uh, selection taste. So that's why, for example, artists are keep applying because one year's jury cannot like you and another one will because people change in the jury uh,
Well, for
every
me, if
year.
I apply for a showcase, it's not only because I'm applying for the showcase, but also to be considered by the jury, because the jury is usually consisting of people who are artistic programmers elsewhere. So it's an opportunity to showcase your work to all the people in the jury.
Mhm. Yeah, that's also true, and from an artist's perspective, that's absolutely useful. So, for
Yeah.
example, during the selection process, I also come across a lot of music that I've never heard of before, and even if the ones that don't make it to the Womex stage, which is like how much, yeah, 90 something percent of the applicants. Uh, I am I'm sure that there are the other samurais every year. Uh, it remains in my memory and in my computer, and it can easily make to one of the events that we produce later. So it's also it's useful to apply actually to events as many as you can because that's also a way of communication.
Yeah, I agree. So, what is the selection process?
Well, the selection process it's quite simple and also complicated. Um, uh,
Most things
people
are.
people mark the ones that they like, and then we discuss very lengthily the ones that kind of remain after the first selection. And
Mm.
then but then it becomes complicated, like a lot of factors come in. A lot of different balances: geographic, style, gender, down tempo, up tempo, standing, seated. Well, it's basically
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
between new and old
yeah,
things, I guess.
yes, but well, Womex is a showcase, so it's famous or new. Both are relative in this sense, because one can be famous in a region that one of the jurors come from, and totally unknown in another. So yeah, so it's only complicated because there are more applications than at a usual trade fair or festival.
Yeah.
But also that's why it's more fun and more eye-opening in sometimes, because it's more diverse. So you have to dig into areas that you're not so familiar with, but one of your colleagues in the jury will surely be, and
Yeah.
you need to be equipped to discuss. Mhm.
Do you get to listen to
So,
all the bands?
well, you have to, you need you
Like
need to listen to
all of
them,
them?
and yes, of course. I mean,
Because some juries divide the amount of artists between them. So, for instance, each jury member gets 200, 300 bands, and then they vote
no,
on the part that they received.
no, it's not the
So you're
case.
so you are listening to close to 1,000 applications every year?
More than 1,000, yes. No, I mean,
What was
I'm not in the jury every year. But
I no, I mean this year when you were this year in the
yes,
jury,
yes,
how
yes,
many
yes.
applications were
Actually, I don't know the exact number. I could look it up, but it would look awkward on screen.
there?
But yeah, something around 1,200 or 1,100,
Okay,
something. I can't
it's
really
good.
really recall. It's that's kind of the number of applications every year or close to this. So it was the expected number, so to say.
Yeah.
So the application process just closed before the quarantine, so it didn't really affected uh, the application process yet. So we had the same number, or around the number
Yeah.
expected.
So it takes about 3 months of your life to listen to all these artists and discuss and
Well, I'm still one of the people in the industry who listen to music basically
yeah.
every day, all day, uh, because I like it. Um, so yeah, whenever I'm not zooming or
Yeah.
talking on the phone or on video or whatever, it's the music is usually on.
Should do vocal exercises just in case. So you use your voice. I do them sometimes between the Zoom meetings because it's, talking and talking the whole day
Yes.
and all the preparation. It seemed to be more difficult now than it was before. When an independent musician sends an application to one of the trade fairs you work with, or even the festivals, and they have no representation, does it affect your decision to program them?
Yes, it does actually sometimes,
Yeah.
but not. It's basically not about the representation. It's more about the presentation and the signs of commitment that you feel from the application. So if they are independent in the sense that they are kind of self-representing, I don't have
Mhm.
anything against it. But yeah, I expect the application material and also all kinds of the promo materials to put together as professionally as there would be kind of a separate management behind that.
Mhm.
So your expertise in DIYing, I think it's very useful in this sense, because a lot of DIY artists uh, they just can't produce the level of professionality in their materials. So it's very welcome in the industry what you're doing, because
Mhm.
it's good someone having uh, an educational role in this sense. It serves all of us, not just the musicians,
Thank you. I
because
actually have to, sorry.
because we are getting better applications in this sense, and better applications are more fun to deal with, and also it kind of saves us time. A better application is
Yeah.
one that you can judge in a shorter time. You don't have to go after the artists and dig out information yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, in my course, ydiymusic.com, by the way, if you wanted to check that out, I have 2 episodes about how to produce your own press kit on a budget. So I know, also being a DIY musician myself, that it's very difficult to have all the skills and know what materials to use and also what equipment you should buy. It's an investment, and how to take photos and videos that have high quality without breaking the bank. So I've dedicated 2 episodes to teach exactly that. So if you don't have a budget and you want to look professional and you want to make a strong application, these are the steps that you need to take. And so yeah, if you wanted to check out the course, I would invite you to the website ydiymusic.com. And thanks for bringing it up.
yeah, it's actually it comes up lots of times that if at what level of their careers an artist should team up with a manager or agent. Um,
Yeah.
and it really depends on the artist, if DIYing suits them. This kind of
Yeah.
management, planning, strategy, networking, whatever skills, they don't necessarily come together with the music skills or artistic skills. Some artists are good uh, in DIY management. Some will never be because they just don't have the skills, and you need to know yourself before deciding that, if you're up to
Yeah.
it. If
I'll
actually
try.
if you are not enjoying this part of the job, you should probably go and look for a manager. But if you're enjoying it, it's like you seem to do, Nani, mm,
Thanks.
then that's the best that you can do.
I mean, I think it's also a skill that you need to learn, because at the beginning, I think I was doing it wrong. I was trying to do it myself because I wasn't pleased with the level of commitment of professional partners that I had in the past. So I decided to do it on my own, not because I didn't have people to contribute to my work, but because of the, let's say, professionalism and morals in the work and the level of commitment, right? So I thought I could bring up that level of commitment up. And it took me a while to learn the skill. And of course, it depends also on your personality, if you're a people's person or not, and if you can speak, what we call in Hebrew eye level conversation. So if you can really connect to the person in front of you and maybe see what you can do for them, not necessarily what they can do for you. I mean, maybe you'll make a friend, and worst case scenario, you have another friend. Maybe you don't end up working together, but if you are burning this bridge to start with, you won't work together and you won't have a friend. So at least you'll earn a friend, what I'm saying.
Yeah, I suppose
Yeah,
this high level conversation, it means something that's beyond small talk, uh,
yeah,
which is which is also an important skill at trade fairs to
yeah.
being able to get engaged in small talk uh, many times. But of course, if you want the real thing, you need to go beyond that. And I totally agree that yeah, in the worst case, you'll have a friend, and these events are good for that. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of people that I really like to meet from time to time at events, but we've never done anything together because I don't know, it's just unfeasible technically, or we are too much apart geographically to start something together. But we always enjoy being in each other's company. So it's you don't necessarily uh, you don't need to do business with everybody that you like, but it's better if you do business with people
Totally.
only you like.
I think we see eye to eye with this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How important is it for you to keep a gender balance in your programming?
Well, it's important. I prefer if it comes naturally. So if I don't have to, and usually it comes naturally. I mean, when we are, for example, when we are planning a lineup for our next edition, uh, gender balance is usually not in the conversation at the first phase. We try to put together a lineup where only the artistic and stylistic uh, value counts. And then we do kind of a reality check at the end that if it stands, if it stands the probe of the gender balance as well. And
Mhm.
if we find that for some reason it's what we came up is unbalanced in this sense, then we make adjustments. So, but
Yeah.
so it's not that we are. I mean, we are not making two different lineups, one male, one female, uh, and then we put them together. We, as festival organizers, we need to create kind of an artistic flow that works. Um,
Yeah.
and then also there are a lot of other factors. If you the artists who are available, who you can afford, and a lot of others.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the end we make it's usually not more than one or two changes to be balanced gender wise as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
It comes
if you
more
are
organically.
yeah, if you are perceptive enough, and if you have a I don't know if you have um, a general feeling or kind of the gender balance is a part of your everydays,
Yeah.
then it will naturally arrive to where you want it to be.
Yeah. You wouldn't need to use a specific binoculars to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
make you look at that aspect. Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's generally with diversity because you have the same, for instance, well, maybe not so much in the world music industry because it's by nature an industry that has more diversity. But for instance, in the jazz scene, there is a sort of a prototype of musician that usually gets booked. And it's pretty difficult, especially for myself as a female artist. It has been very difficult for me to break that glass ceiling within the jazz world. And when I started performing world music, I felt like I have found my place more easily within a
Hmm.
world that was more diverse to start with.
Yeah, but also traditionally jazz started as a male genre. Why folk music has always been naturally kind of gender balanced. There was gender balanced in a sense because there were male styles and female styles, men's songs and women's songs, and historically, actually, they rarely mixed in folk music. But this is where kind of this natural gender balance in world music comes from, because any kind of world music that somehow is rooted in folk music, there is a lot more role for women there historically than for example in jazz. But yeah, I'm aware that this is not the reality anymore. Luckily, in jazz, so there are a lot of women
It's
on
getting
stage.
better.
Yeah, yes, but it's still more male dominant or less gender balanced, to put it that way. But except the singer's part, until a few decades ago, you rarely saw women on stage. So singing was the only part that women had been doing. But yeah, it's changing, and there are a lot of good women instrumentalists these days. But I can imagine, without really having a deep insight into that, but as just someone from the audience, I can imagine that it's hard to get accepted or get the respect as a female instrumentalist still.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even now, if I go to a jazz trade fair and I would be, let's say, standing within a group of people that I don't know, and then everybody would introduce themselves. They say, "Hi, shake your hands," like, "Hi, I'm this and this and that." So they would say hello to all the guys around you. They would skip you and move on to the next guy. And it's like, "Hi, my name is." And it's like, "Oh, are you a girlfriend of one of the musicians?" No, I play trombone. What do you do? You play trombone? Really?
I always feel guilty as a man when I'm hearing these stories, but I also feel guilty because it's I'm having a hard time to imagine that it's it, it can be very discouraging, probably, but and I've never experienced that, of course. I I I, I mean, as a man, I don't know. I can't really put myself in your place in these situations. Yeah, but it makes me feel bad.
Well,
But
thanks for being empathetic. Well, I mean, we need men to change this, right? So you're one of us now.
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of times, like if you go, for instance, to a gender balance panel, right, in one of these trade fairs, so you would see 50, 60 women in the audience and 3 men. So how do we get the men there? Because we don't, it's not so much fun to preach to the choir. Yeah,
Uh,
doesn't get the message across.
I don't know. Free drinks.
Exactly. And then people will come for different reasons.
Yes.
Maybe free football,
Yeah.
tickets,
Also, it's
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even men who consider this topic important. Uh, yeah, I can't see many going to these events
Yeah.
because, well, no, I said because, but I don't know why.
But that's exactly the spirit.
Uh,
I like that. I said
yeah.
because, and I don't know. I mean, even the fact that you admit this, that makes you a non-typical man. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
somebody would say because and start talking about something that's completely unrelated just because he said because. So, yeah, I love working with people that don't play first base from their ego, that it can admit that they've done something wrong, or for me that's the first charm, if that takes me over if I meet a new person and I see that they're honest and they're like ego less, and that's it, I'm theirs.
Oh, I am keep thinking about your question. If maybe if I could, I wish I could come up with an answer, but but I can't. I've been involved in the past in a few kind of gender balance projects. Not exactly musical ones, but also kind of media coverage, awareness kind of project. So I have some experience with those, but I still couldn't find answers for these questions.
Oh,
I'm
thanks for
I'm
keeping
trying
asking them.
I'm trying to think of answers that I've heard from others, but I can't recall any of those either. Uh, so I don't know if there is a good answer, a simple answer for this question. Uh, but there are a lot of other ways than conference panels to
Hmm.
to make a change, probably.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, we'll see.
I have one last question. By the way, feel free to ask me anything or add something that you would like to add about your work or about, I don't know, worldview, whatever you like. It's a totally open conversation. So I would love to know what type of activities exist at the events that you produce to connect musicians and promoters. So, besides the actual showcase, I know that, for instance, at Womex they have the opening and the closing ceremonies, and then there's like a party before and after, like the traditional breakfast at the end. Do you also organize, let's say, speed dating or trade dinners or activities that can connect people in a less formal way, um, that also encourages a conversation?
Yeah, I mean these are usually ways to connect musicians and
Mm,
bookers, agents, promoters, managers,
mm,
festival organizers. Um, so most of the festivals or trade fairs are doing, for example, speed meetings. I'm hearing from colleagues time to time that oh they hate the speed meetings because it's too quick and too many people who need to be pushy at these meetings because the time is limited and they need to leave a mark by the end of the day. Uh,
My advice is not to be pushy.
yeah, but I like speed meetings actually because um, it's a good way to connect to people and then maybe you meet I don't know 20 people in a day and you'll find five of them that you want to go deeper with after, and it's a good proportion.
Yeah.
Uh, and I know that as an organizer, uh, what's really a kind of a pressure is that everybody expects you to to book them, to invite them, and and some people are just too polite to say. I mean, it's polite is not maybe not the right word, but everybody wants to be nice, and you make your soft promises that okay, let's see, maybe next year, and then you open a door when a lot of emails will come in later, mm, mm, and holding your kind of soft promise against you that so am I invited this year, or am I gonna be on your lineup?
Wow.
So
It's a
I've
very
learned,
direct question.
yeah. So, but I've learned that it's that if your feeling is that even I like this guy, person, whoever sitting um, at at the other end of the table, uh, I will probably never invite him or her or this band because they are nice, but this music is just not something that would fit my festival
Yeah.
or my event, or I just don't like the music. I mean, it really takes some years until you can say someone that, well, it's very
Yeah.
nice to meet you, but it's just not for me. But I
Yeah.
think it's more useful for the artist because that's real feedback. They this way they can have some insight in a way to who to uh, who to s- who to spend your energy on or your time with, uh, which kind of events to focus on, and also they won't waste their time by sending repeated emails to you and getting frustrated for not getting answers or getting negative answers. Um,
Yeah.
so at the end, it's better for everyone to to be straightforward um, with your feedback,
Sure.
and also I mean, be nice all times. That's a rule, but not liking someone's music or not be enthusiastic about someone's music, it's not being unpolite. It's
Hmm. People
it's
also
just
don't
this.
necessarily want your feedback. That's something that I see many times. Some musicians ask promoters to tell them why their music was not accepted to a certain
Mm-hmm,
festival or venue. And then
mm-hmm,
when they hear the feedback, they're like, but you're wrong. My music is not this and it's not that. And they're not really ready to hear the feedback. So I would say if you're not ready to hear the feedback, don't ask. And
mm-hmm,
also appreciate the time that person took for you out of their daily life to offer you the feedback. Because if you can imagine, you said before that 1,200 people applied for Womex. Um, uh, Replying to each and every one of them directly with
mm-hmm.
an email, it's 15 minutes each. So this is going to take 4 months to
Yeah.
reply to every person. And that's if you work at it for 6 to 8 hours a day. So, and these people don't get paid to write the feedback.
Yes.
So it's somehow musicians feel that others, promoters and programmers, are obliged to give them feedback. And maybe that's also something that we need to fix in the industry.
Yeah, that's. I think I've already mentioned this, that it's very frustrating on the one hand,
Mhm.
but also, I mean, very natural that you have to be selective about um,
Sure.
who you can answer and what kinds of emails you can answer and what's the depth of the feedback that you can provide. Um, and also, I mean, we've all got our tastes and personal musical religions. It was very relieving just the other day that I just said someone that, look, I will never invite anybody who's using Autotune, and that's just.
Good call.
I mean, I was trying to come up with a more sophisticated answer, but at the end, I said maybe it will be just more. It's a more accessible answer, and it's also true. I mean, that's at the end of the day, they are interested in the reason why they are not getting invited, and that's the reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I like parts of the music, but when Autotune is kicking in the door, it's they lose me.
Yeah.
I mean, and there
Me
are
too.
some other. Yeah. Actually, I was kind of getting annoyed and concerned that I'm coming along with with some artists already in the world music scene that are using Autotune, and
I don't get it.
it was shocking to see. But it's not just Autotune. I mean, we've all got our preferences and dispreferences. Um, some. I mean, just to mention you, I'm sure there are people who are crazy about trombone and people who are who don't like trombone at all.
Sure.
And it's just a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you won't persuade anybody who dislikes trombone.
But that's a part of doing your research, right? Like if
Yeah.
you apply to play somewhere, check out who is programming. Check out what was the program last year. Is it the same person? What their program is like?
Mm-hmm.
How is your music fitting to what they do? And not so much, oh, just book me because I
Yeah.
make good music. It's not a good enough reason because there's a lot of good music out there and you need to be a part of a story.
Yeah. And
If someone is programming, they are telling a story.
and trombone is a friendly instrument. A lot of people are, you know, the more special the instrument that you're using, more people will love it or feel a close connection to it, and other people will just be more frustrated about it. So I don't know, bagpipes or big drum bands, or there are
Yeah.
people who love a cappella vocals, and there are people who are really mm, running away from any kinds of a cappella music that they're hearing. So we've promoters got their tastes as well.
Yeah, true.
So don't get discouraged if you are not fitting someone's circle of musical preference or taste.
Yeah, and don't try to please everybody. It's better that you
Yeah,
have a niche and then you will, get bigger on that niche and instead of, shooting in
yeah,
all directions, it's not gonna you cannot satisfy everyone.
yeah. I try to be as open as possible, but your taste is a part of you. You can't really get away from that. That's why actually having juries with several people and with diverse tastes works better. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I won't be into everybody in this year's Womex selection, even if I was on the jury, uh, because it's luckily it's not just up to my taste. Who's
No,
getting
there's
it?
also less responsibility that way. That's nice.
Yes, I mean, I don't have anything against responsibility. It's
But we've already established that with being cool and collected. So the last part of the interview is actually my favorite part because it's a series of personal questions written by Bernard Pivot. and basically, it's like a fun banter thing. And I'm going to ask you questions, and please reply with the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word.
Yes.
My favorite words, I usually judge them by the sound and not by the meaning. And it's totally different in Hungarian and English, of course. So I've never thought about my favorite word in English, but
Say it in Hungarian and translate it to
no,
English.
I found something that is not English, but it's also English. It's a Zeitgeist.
Oh yeah.
It's used in English too, but it's a German word. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think also very fitting.
Yeah. I mean, the whole word is a very nice creation. It's probably a creation, not kind of a natural ancient word, and it sounds nice in Hungarian, totally the same as in German. So it's kind of a word by word translation. Oh, yeah.
So, what is your least favorite word?
Least favorite. Probably requirement, because I always misspell it. And it's also, I mean, the meaning is also something that the requirement, it sounds very strict, and it doesn't sound very
like,
nice as well.
Do it now.
Yeah. But it's mainly the
What
spelling.
turns you on?
What turns
mainly
me?
the spelling. All right. What turns you on creatively, emotionally, or let's see, I'm missing one. Creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Turning me on.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically being in the right company of and music, actually. Yes, so music is my drug in this sense. Music and togetherness.
It's a good combination.
And nature, actually. So it's being outdoors, or well, most a combination of these. So if you really want an answer, it's probably
playing music outdoors with friends.
Yeah, that's absolutely, or listening to music while on bicycle somewhere in the nature.
I sometimes write tunes on the bicycles. I find it very relaxing when I'm cycling. Yeah. Then I have this tune. I'm so happy that they have phones now that can record things. So in the past, I would just have to sing it all the way home and then go and write it down. But now I can just whip out my phone. It's like la 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 la, and move on with my.
Yeah.
What turns you off?
Let me see. Bureaucracy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the things that surely turns me off. Yeah, but also a conversation where you feel used, for example.
Yeah.
Where the only purpose, yeah.
When the only purpose is what?
I mean, where in a conversation where the purpose is only, something to get out of you, or to something very don't feel the other is honest or is interested. They just want to get you to do something.
Yeah, that's very interest based.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not very friendly.
I mean, friendly or not, but boring.
Oh yeah. Probably boring is my least favorite word.
Yes.
So this is my favorite question. What is your favorite curse word?
Curse word. Well, you have to know
It can
that,
be in Hungarian. I can learn something new,
yeah,
huh?
Hungarian is a very colorful language when it comes to cursing.
Oh, I like
They've
that.
got a lot of curse words, much more than English or German. I mean,
Is it
languages that I
comparable to
know.
Russian?
Uh,
I mean,
I
as far as the number of curse words.
I don't know how to
They-
curse in Russian, even if I learned Russian, but not the curse words, because
Wow.
those you can't learn in school. You have
This
to.
language is amazing with curse words.
Okay, but well, Hungarians consider themselves one of the best cursors or the most creative cursors in the world. Um, mm, I don't know if I can pick one. And actually, I'm not someone who curses usually a lot. I'm okay with others cursing, but I usually don't. Uh, and I don't even know why actually, uh,
Oh,
because that's really part. I mean, cursing is kind of okay in Hungarian. It's but no, I don't use really a lot of curse words.
okay. So you don't have a favorite.
No, I don't. It
All right.
it 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 would really feel strange to pick a favorite curse word.
All right. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise that I love. Well, obviously there are the commonplace things, the sea, the birds, wherever. When I studied, and I think that was one of the first lessons in ethnomusicology when I studied ethnomusicology. Um, a book by John Blacking called um, well, that's one of the most fundamental books on music in that country, called um, the title, and it's a very good title. Anyway, in the first chapter of this book, he writes that he tries to define music. How musical is man? That's the title of the book.
Hmm.
And so it tries to define music in the first chapter, and it says music is humanly organized sound, because that's how he defines it, to not to include sounds of nature that we kind of perceive as music,
Yeah.
like the sound of the sea or the birds or the wind or the trees, whatever. But
Yeah.
obviously, I love those songs, even if I learn that it's not music. uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I love
remember
those.
when I was in music school, they told us that the natural sound of nature is F sharp. And I was like, hello, there is much more than F sharp.
Yeah, actually, one of the best things for me about this quarantine period was that I really think that kind of a urban background noise. I mean, there is this, you know what I'm talking about. It's
The
something
hum.
that we,
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that we don't really notice but it's a very powerful source of everyday stress in an
Oh,
urban
absolutely.
environment.
Noise
I really,
pollution.
yeah, I really consider it as destructive as air pollution.
Mm.
It's
If I were to have any job in the government or city hall or something, the first regulation I will put into place is noise regulations. There's way
yeah,
too
but
much noise on the street.
yes, but it's I understand it's very difficult to do because most of it comes from the traffic, just which is
But there's also machinery, for instance,
and
the
then machinery.
garbage disposals and stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So one of the best things about these quarantine weeks, months was that there was a very serious decline in the level of this background noise,
Mhm.
which also meant that these kind of natural sounds came into the foreground,
Yeah.
like birds and trees. Um, but yes, there are. It's many times it's not about the nature of the noise. It's, for example, it's also about the acoustics. So a lot of reverbs, for example, uh,
Yeah.
it can be very tiring. Um, in So, for
Yeah.
example,
Which
we
ones?
yeah we discussed trade fairs, and many times we feel that trade fairs are very exhausting. But most of it, I think, comes from these big halls where trade fairs are with the stands.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of delays and reverbs from all
Yeah.
these small chit chat sounds,
The
and
lighting
that's
is horrible as well.
lighting can be horrible as well if it's not, yeah, if it's artificial lighting the whole day.
Yeah.
It can be, but I'm more sensitive to the sounds
Yeah.
naturally. So
Yeah.
yeah, but the question was
I
what I
usually
love.
wear earplugs.
Hmm.
Yes.
The question
Well, the
was
next question was
what I
which one do you hate? So you've
yeah,
already answered that.
I've already answered that. Yeah, this background noise. Somehow I'm kind of conscious about that, and I really hate that. Microphone feedback. Probably all the musicians hate it.
Oh God, I hate that. I
Yeah,
started wearing earplugs to sound checks
yeah,
because there's such a high chance that you will get a feedback that is so loud that you're going to lose your hearing.
yeah. I mean, it's physically hurting. It's
Yeah. Well, thanks for saying that because my usual conversation with sound engineers is, could you please lower my monitor volume? And they put it up. So it's like, excuse me, can you please lower it down? It's like, what do you know? What do you want? I just put it up. It's like, yeah, but I didn't ask you to put it up. I asked you to put it down.
Mhm.
Oh, you want it down?
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Yeah, I used to be a journalist before this because I
Mm.
wanted to. So that's
Mm.
that's a simple answer. And I still also love writing. I mean, creative kind of writing, not application writing, which um, I really can have my burnouts in application writing. But of course,
Yes.
it's of course a must. And I also love to, through my work with the movie soundtracks, I've got some insight into the film industry, and there are parts of the film development work that I really like, and 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 would like to dig deeper into. But I don't know. I feel right here in the music industry. I
So, what profession wouldn't you like to attempt?
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Uh, well, just to stay in our circles in music, I don't think I would be a good manager or agent.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Why not?
I don't know. Probably focusing on just one artist is not for me, or just
Mm.
on a handful of artists. It's not for me. Um, musically, I have a bigger appetite than that. Mm,
Mm.
I don't know. I tried it, and I know it's not for me. So,
Yeah. Oh, it's good that you
but
can admit it.
yeah, and but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are others. Politician, for example, I'm pretty sure it's not for
Uh-uh.
me.
Anything related to bureaucracy? I wouldn't like to be an accountant or something like that. Yeah. So, my final
Um,
question.
I, yeah,
Yeah,
fire
go
away.
ahead.
Yeah.
No, no, you go first.
No, I mean
You're
it would be a long other conversation about
okay.
bureaucracy and politics, and
Um,
I don't want to open that door.
yeah, we shouldn't start with that.
A part of me wants to open that, but no, I mean it would
All
be
right.
really long.
So, last question.
Yeah.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you walk through the pearly gates?
What a question.
Ah.
Well, it's probably yeah, welcome, and here are the people who already waited for you.
So you like to be in good company.
Yeah,
Hopefully you'll be playing music there as well, outdoors.
I bet.
Yeah.
E-
Thank you so
Everything,
much.
everything is outdoors in heaven, isn't it?
Well, I guess heaven is what you like it to be, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully, because it's very different to each and every one of us.
yeah,
Thank you so much for this nice conversation.
yeah. I think you. It's I said there's nothing better than a good conversation. That's
And drinks.
it was and drinks, yeah. But with or without drinks,
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, if I should choose between drinks and a conversation, I would 90% of the time opt for the conversation.
Well, I meant conversation with drinks.
Yes, I know.
That's
Yeah, a conversation with drinks, it's better up until a limit.
yeah. Yeah, okay. Not
Yeah,
exaggerating with the drinks.
when the drinks
Then it becomes
stand between you and the conversation.
yes. Then it becomes the last night of Womex.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see you again in Budapest in October.
Yeah, me
And
too.
thank you for being part of this video cast.
Yeah, thanks, Nani. It's fun,
Thank you,
really.
Balasz.
Thanks for the questions.
Thanks. And thank you very much for being with us today. And please consider to support this video cast as all the work is done voluntarily. Please go to ydiymusic.com/donate and make your contribution. And join me next week, Thursday, June 18th, as I'll be interviewing Nicole Johantgen from Sofia. That's the supportive female improvising artists from Switzerland. In the meantime, good luck, keep calm, and DIY.